What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasanto here with my friend Scott Bracey on Christmas Eve. Wait a second. It may as well be Christmas Eve for sports fans like you and I, right, bro? On draft Eve.
Oh my God. Love it, man.
We kind of started this podcast a few months ago, and I don't know, 80% of our conversations have been, I don't know, so you have like your 6 degrees of separation, your 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. It's like 6 degrees of separation to the NFL draft. Like we would be talking about, pitchers in baseball or Tiger Woods, and somehow it ended up, and the Jets might trade Sam Darnold, which means they'll be drafting Zach Wilson. It seems like for friggin' ever.
Tiger Woods went to Stanford. Andrew Luck went to Stanford. Oh, by the way, the Colts. Oh, here we go.
Who just got Carson Wentz. They're not looking for a quarterback in the draft now. Somehow we always made it, and we're here, and in a way. So I'm going to tell you a quick segue. When me and my son are big like Avengers, all the Infinity War saga fans, and I took him to opening night of Avengers Endgame. Like we were literally the first people in the country to officially, we had the earliest showing on the first day on the East Coast.
Awesome.
So like nobody, no regular folks saw the movie Avengers Endgame before we did. And when we were there, we went to get a bite to eat first, and we're on our way in, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And my son goes, "Are you excited?" I said, "Well, I'm super excited." I said, "And I'm already a little bit sad." And he's like, "Why?" I go, "Because it's the end game. Like when this movie's over, it's the end. Like the story's over." And that's what I'm talking about with the draft. Like I'm super excited about the draft, and we're gonna go over a draft primer for you, for everyone who's listening. A better way for you to watch the draft for your team tomorrow night. Okay, but when it's over, it's over. Now,
It's over, right.
I will say, as a Jets fan, as soon as the draft's over, as soon as the draft's over, you'll be thinking about this coming season, and most fans will be thinking about the upcoming season. But as Jets fans, we already start thinking about next year's draft because we have very little hope of this coming season. So that's the way that goes as a Jets fan. But
So what's that? What's that? Middle of September? You're gonna jump on the rest of the country with draft prep.
Yeah, I start thinking about the draft usually mid-September. On a really good year, it's mid-October. This past year, I think it was the end of August.
Ugh. Sounds fun.
And then the Jets really jammed it up every Jets fan's ass by winning against the Rams and losing out on the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. But anyway, draft primer. So we did our mock draft last week, and little foreshadowing for later in the show. We have a mock draft of sorts to end the show today. Our last segment is kind of inspired by our mock draft last week. But since we did that, I think it's important that we talk about, and this is for you, for me, for anyone listening, dude, how to view the draft. I think one of the things that just the casual fan gets caught up in doing when they watch the draft is they see players and they try to say, how can I fit the players onto my team?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And what I'm offering, an idea that I'm offering to everyone who's listening today is to think, and this is what I mean by this is your draft primer. This is a different way. Now, the draft as a whole is kind of cool. Like I love watching who everybody takes, not just my team. So I enjoy the whole draft. But when it comes to your team picking, don't think of players who you would want on your team. Think of what your team needs. And every team needs something. Okay, but think of what your team needs and then look and say, what guys can best fit those needs? And I think if we look at it that way, I don't know if the word will be less disappointed, but I think we'll have a better understanding of what's really happening in the draft. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So I think that might help. What do you think of that?
Yeah, so you have a position or two positions, and you have 3 or 4 guys that you target, or you look at. Like everyone has the Mel Kiper book,
Sure.
or a website, or whatever
PFF,
they
yeah.
follow. Yeah, whatever they follow. But where it gets fun is if the Cowboys trade up for a tight end, and then the whole fucking thing is messy, and that's what makes the draft the draft.
Right. So people see the mock drafts that are all over the place, and they're like, "Well, this is what's going to happen." So I have a couple examples here of like how to think differently. But we are so. It seems like the NFL draft guru world is settled that Zach Wilson is going to the Jets. And
your football Jets.
And I sit here and say that's probably what's going to happen. But I will tell you, as we've talked about, and this is just an example how it just becomes, oh shit, now what? Okay? We've talked about how Justin Fields has been QB2 pretty much since, last season ended. Not this past football season, I mean the previous one. It's kind of been Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields 1-2. And
2019 end of season, yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And now while all the news and reports and all these guys and Adam Schefter and we know this is what they're doing. You don't know what they're doing. You don't even really know what San Francisco's doing. You can make an argument that San Francisco knows that the Jets are going to take Justin Fields, and that's why they went to number 3 because Zach Wilson's a perfect fit for them. Okay, yeah. There's a narrative that fits there. And all I'm saying is, as far as surprises, like you're saying, you just don't know. If the Jets were to do that and shock the world, it throws the entire draft into holy shit mode. Like you'll see tables if you're watching on TV, you'll see GMs and coaches and war rooms. They're gonna start losing their mind, and the phones are gonna start ringing, and it's gonna be crazy time because everybody knows that Zach Wilson, and he probably is. I'm not trying to predict that he hasn't, but I've been saying for 3 weeks now. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I just said it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if Justin Fields ends up going number 2. Okay, because who wouldn't want a Cam Newton type of player? But with the draft primer that I'm talking about. Think of this. The Mac Jones San Francisco 49ers case is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Nobody has Mac Jones near the top of the quarterback list, right? But if you're a San Francisco fan who pays attention to their coaches, who pays attention to their GM, like pays attention to them, think of Kyle Shanahan's history. He was at Cleveland. Who was his quarterback at Cleveland? Brian Hoyer. Started the season off 7-3. Like, oh, who does Brian Hoyer look like? Then he was at Washington. Now they started RG3, but who was RG3's backup?
Kirk.
That Kyle Shanahan just recently tried to trade for. Oh, by the way.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins. Yep. And then who does Kirk Cousins look like? Who in this draft looks like? Oh, let me wait on that. Then he goes to Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep.
Then he goes to Atlanta as the offensive coordinator and goes to a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan. And who in this draft does Matt Ryan kind of remind you? But there's more. Then he gets the head coaching job at San Francisco. And he immediately trades for Jimmy Garoppolo. And, oh, by the way, while Jimmy G can't stay in the field, he's got a 75% winning percentage. And when he did play, the one time he played an entire season, they went to the Super Bowl. Who in this draft kind of reminds you of Jimmy G? Oh, wait a minute. Brian Hoyer, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then I gotta watch ESPN, Colin Cowherd, Mel Kiper, Dan the Dummy Orlovsky. I gotta listen to all these morons say, I can't understand why Kyle Shanahan would want Mac Jones. Because he's had nothing but success with Mac Jones clones his entire friggin' career. It's a system fit. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, I'm not even saying they're definitely taking him, but this is a perfect example of what I mean of draft primer. Think of your team. Don't think Justin Fields, how do I make him fit on my team? Think my team needs a corner. what's the best corner for the system? Some corners are press corners. Some corners are, Richard Sherman is more of kind of a zone guy. Like, think of your team needs like San Francisco's thinking of their team needs, and then go with how you fill that. You know what I mean?
So, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about March Madness and Syracuse, how we said that the names on the back of the jersey change, but they're always 6'7",
yes.
long and lanky. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
Guys that fit your system.
Absolutely. And you hear this all the time, like, don't try to play to a guy's strengths. If you're a coach, don't try to make a guy do something he's not good at, and try to make him do the things that he is good at. And I agree with that 100%. I think coaches do themselves a disservice and they do players a disservice when they try to do the old fit a square peg into a round hole. But if you're in a draft situation, or if you're recruiting, you should be drafting or recruiting players that fit your system, and not just, this guy's an amazing athlete. This is the Justin Fields story in a nutshell, really, right? He goes to Georgia, and who beats him out? Jake Fromm, who's like third string quarterback on Buffalo right now, right? But then he goes to Ohio State, and what does Ohio State loves those super athletic, very agile, strong arm quarterbacks, dual threats, that kind of thing, and he's a perfect fit. And it was a perfect fit. He probably should have gone there in the first place. And that's Mac Jones. Like, I'm sure if San Francisco could get Trevor Lawrence, they'd rather have Trevor Lawrence. But that's not an option. So you look and you say, well, who's the yeah? I mean, who doesn't, right? So I just think as a fan, if you're going to be watching, and I'm assuming you're going to be watching, try to think of it that way. Like, look for guys. Now, again, you're not making the fit, but this is the fun part of draft. It's like we're pretending to be GMs for a couple hours. Right? And you're like, well, what's a good fit for my team? Not how do I make Micah Parsons fit on my team? While he might be able to fit on everything, that might be actually a bad example. But like, how do I make Devontae Smith? How do I make him fit on my team? Well, if you already got, a Deshaun Jackson type player, you wouldn't. That's not a good fit. You shouldn't be saying, well, but he was a Heisman Trophy winner. Yeah, but you need a Jamar Chase. You need
a Kyle Pitts.
A Kyle Pitts. You need like a bigger, taller, stronger kind of receiver. You don't need that slick, thin jet guy. Like, I don't mean jet as in New York Jets, like a jet sweep kind of guy. Like, you don't need that. So think of your team and look for good fits for what you need. And I think you'll actually be it'll be a more enjoyable experience for you with your team. And as you're watching other teams, you'll probably get more of their picks correct.
I like it.
Yeah. Because this happens all the time. You watch or you listen to Mel Kiper, and I love Mel Kiper because I think Mel Kiper still does one of the best jobs because he takes emotion totally out of it. But they're kind of looking at who the best players are. They make a list of the best players and they say, like, where can we fit these best players in? And that's why we end up having quote unquote surprises, but they're not really totally surprises. They really shouldn't be surprises there's always some surprises, like the Jets taking Kyle, whatever, the tight end. Don't remind me. Don't say
Brady.
It. Yeah, Kyle Brady.
Mr. Brady.
Sometimes you're just like, what were they thinking? And I will say this one. Okay, so there was one other aspect of this. Unless you want to go on something, I'm rolling here. So I'm like,
go ahead, bro. Go ahead, brother. Go.
There's this other argument that we get all the time come draft season, and it's like best available. There's the best available side, and then there's the team needs side. And again, this is a total fabrication by television and radio. There's no such thing. Every team is drafting
has needs.
Is drafting their needs, but they're going by best available. Like, are we so stupid that we can't say like what are the best players available, and then like, okay, I need a guard, but the best available player at guard is kind of down the list. So, but I also need a corner, and I also need a wide receiver. So, of your needs, what's best available? Like,
right.
And that's how like the Cowboys end up with CeeDee Lamb last year.
I was thinking the same thing.
It's a perfect example, right? Like, yeah. So the Cowboys were fully intent on drafting a defensive player last year in their first round pick, but CeeDee Lamb who they actually thought was the best wide receiver last year. Now, whether we think that or not is of no consequence. They had him as the top wide receiver in a draft last year. And they just never expected him to fall to them. Well, he did. And it's like, well, shit, I can't pass this guy up. And Kyle Pitts is a perfect example this year. I doubt he gets past like 4 or 5. But when's Denver drafting? 9? Crazy shit happens. And what happens if Kyle Pitts, and they're not looking for a tight end, right?
No.
But if Kyle Pitts falls to you at 9, and 4 quarterbacks have come off the board, and Micah Parsons is already gone for, like, you're sitting there and you're like, dude, we didn't even think this guy was going to be available.
Yeah, true.
You know, if there's just that guy, then you do it. But for the most part, teams are drafting need and best available, like a combination of the two. Like, you know. Yeah. So it's
what's funny, and it's funny how the draft works too. The Cowboys ended up getting a defensive back last year with their second pick, a guy they liked. So it's you just never know, man.
You don't know because you really just as much as we have an idea of who's going to go. We know Trevor Lawrence is going to go first, but we really, truly, and honestly don't know what's going to happen after that. Plus trades. You know, the rumor rolling around today is that New England has a deal in place with Carolina. And why is a deal in place and not done? Because they don't know what the hell's going to happen 2 through 7.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If Justin Fields goes 2 and Trey Lance goes 3, they ain't moving up to 8. So the reason that deal is in place but not complete is because it's
pending.
It's pending. Yeah. It's crazy. You just don't know. So,
yep.
I had another name down here that people don't think of as far as like guy drops to your lap and you had no intention of drafting him, but there he is. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a perfect example. They had oh my God.
Mr. Favre.
They had Brett Favre. They had no intention of drafting a quarterback. But then Aaron Rodgers falls into the 20s and they're like, we got this.
I think we have to do this.
Yeah, we got this aging guy who's a little ornery and he's got wild hairs coming out of his ass. Like, you know, hey, maybe we can do this kind of thing. And they did. And it proved to be a good idea. And frankly, while Dallas is still desperate for defense, CeeDee Lamb looks like a steal now.
Yeah, the real deal.
They need massive defensive help. But anyway, that's me going off on my draft primer. I really thought about that for a week because I said when we did the draft, we did our mock draft last week, and we've seen so many mock drafts on television and radio. That's just not how it works. It's not one guy picking for every team. So you really need to try to look through the lens of your team. I heard Colin Cowherd today say like Carolina, like I'm like, or had Philly taken an offensive lineman in the first round. I'm like, dude, you're not even thinking. Like you're not even thinking.
Yeah.
Like they have so many needs. The lowest level need they have is offensive line right now.
Colin Cowherd's not good.
He's so good for such a long time. I'm with you. For like a couple months now, he's been slipping. Slipping.
Yeah.
I
was going to say maybe back a couple years, in my opinion, more than you, but he's been a little off, and he's got like the Skip Bayless thing in him now, which kind of sucks. Like,
what do you mean by that?
You got to throw something totally off the rocker to get attention. Like Skip's always going against.
Skip still does that. I actually think Colin does less of that. I think he does less of that. I feel like he's actually got complacent. I feel like he's actually got complacent and gotten player friendly. Now I don't know if it's because he's got more access to players and he doesn't want to piss players off or something like that. I feel like he's gotten boring. Like I always used to kind of like his hot takes because even if I disagreed with Cowherd, he always made me think. And now I just sit there and I go, what are you talking about? I really feel so he's moved a couple times in the last 2 years and he's gotten a big bump, makes $6 million a year, which if he's making 6, dude, we deserve 12 apiece.
Wow. I'm just saying. God, let's go.
12.50 an hour, something like that.
Call your agent.
I just feel like with the moves and the big step up in class, I feel like he's gotten complacent because I look at him, I'm like, dude, you didn't even do your homework today, did you? Like I'm sitting in school and I know the answer to that, and you don't like it. Just bothers me. Speaking of us making more money, something came on the board yesterday, day before, and you and I talked about this over a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, something like that. The Falcons are taking calls on Julio Jones, and I got laughed out of the effing room when I said that I would trade Julio Jones. Don't be surprised if Atlanta trades Julio Jones. Oh, why would they do that? He's still so awesome. Because they can't afford him. Oh, what did the friggin' GM of the Falcons just say yesterday about why they are taking calls? Doesn't mean they're going to trade him, but they're taking calls. They're legit. They're not even hiding it. They're taking calls. Why? Because he makes $20+ million a year. And they're in cap hell. Oh, but you talk so much about the salary cap. Why don't you talk about the Now you know why I talk about the salary cap, because you got a $40 million quarterback and a $22 million wide receiver, and I can't field a goddamn team.
Oh, it's good stuff.
So my question to you, I'm not trying to say that Julio Jones is not still a good receiver. I think he's still a top 5 receiver in the league. Where does he fit, and who can afford him? Like, what do you think happens here?
So I have a couple teams. You want me to list my teams?
Yeah, let's hear what you got. No, let's hear what you got. We'll go one by one. Yeah, let's go one by one.
I got 4 choices here.
I have 4 as well. Interesting.
That's why yes, sir. And I think we're gonna have 3 likable, but I think we're gonna differ on one.
Okay.
That's just what I'm thinking right now.
Okay.
So
if we got 75% of them the same, that'd be nuts. Go ahead.
So my number 1 option for Mr. Jones is the Baltimore Ravens.
I have them as well. Seems like a perfect fit, right?
I mean, you got to be a dummy not to think this is a perfect fit. Lamar has accuracy trouble. What fixes accuracy? A 6'3" guy who can jump, who's athletic. You have a great tight end and a great running game.
And all you got to do is kind of chuck it up to him. Just chuck it up and let him go get it.
That's it.
Accuracy be damned.
The corners in that division aren't great. I think it's a perfect fit. So that's my number 1.
And here's why else. I just want to add to why it's a good fit.
Go ahead, sir. Yes, please.
They got the Shkadol. They got the cap space. They got the room. Now, I'm sure they would make... By the way, something else happened that we weren't sure about. We're going to talk about later. I find out that, yes, you can eat some of a guy's salary. Like a team can eat some of a guy's salary. So maybe Baltimore can get Atlanta to eat a little bit of that salary, but take on.
And they throw back. They throw back a 3rd round pick or maybe a second. Who knows? Like,
I don't know.
They have 2 firsts now. So I mean, I don't know what they have in the 2nd round.
I don't know what they'd have to give up, but they have to wait until June 1st. There's something. The salary cap is so convoluted.
Yes.
They have to wait till after June 1st, or else it costs them like $20-something million. After June 1st, it costs them less than 5 or something if they trade him. So, all right, Baltimore, I'm with you 100% on that one. Who else?
I got the Green Bay Packers.
Okay, I do not have them, and I'll tell you why. Go ahead, though. I think Aaron Rodgers would probably give you a hand job if you could make it happen. And who doesn't want a hand job from Aaron Rodgers?
I'd pass on the hand job. I'll have a scotch instead of the hand
job. I know, but wouldn't it just be cool to say, just so you guys know, I mean, I'm not into that kind of thing, but, Aaron Rodgers actually gave me a hand job. You'd be like, no shit. Like, your friends would be like, no shit. You wouldn't even be considered, like, I don't even know if they'd call you gay. Like, you'd be like, no, I'm not gay. Just like, it was Aaron Rodgers, and it was like, he's like, you want it? And I'm like, friends, all right.
Good night, Irene.
Yeah, maybe we got different friends. Anyway, go ahead.
Listen, I also think I need another.
He would be thrilled. Rodgers would be thrilled.
So this is the only NFC team I have in the Julio Jones equation here.
Ooh, I don't.
I don't know if the Falcons are going to be really excited to trade him in conference. But listen, how many times have we said, or Aaron Rodgers has said himself, "Where's my wide receiver? Where's my guys in the draft? What are we doing? You're drafting backup quarterbacks. You're drafting another running back. You're drafting whatever."
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, and put him on the other side of Devontae Adams. Holy smokes!
Oh, dude, it's the best tandem in the NFL. I don't care who else you have. That's the best tandem in the NFL.
No, that is by far. I mean, we've had arguments the last couple of weeks. No, that's insane.
Yeah, that's almost unfair.
Forget it.
Here's why I don't think it's gonna. I think the fit works. Ahead, I think the fit works. I think you're 100% right on that. Money.
You're thinking?
Well, listen, these guys are like MIT geniuses now with this. Again, if they can get Atlanta to eat a certain amount and maybe get Julio to renegotiate his contract to defer some money, like there's so many options of what you can do to get a guy to do that. I mean, if they could do that, dude, that's a deadlier offense than Kansas City. I mean, that's a deadly offense.
I think I would agree with you on that.
It's a deadly offense.
But listen,
so
you're my money guy. I just throw out opinions, and you tell me what fits and what not.
I just don't know that they can make that work unless you're
probably right.
Yeah, Julio would have to give a little bit, but if you're Julio and you've been stuck, you've been stuck in Atlanta, mediocre you've been to a Super Bowl 4 years ago, but you've been stuck in hell for 4 years. Maybe take a little haircut. Right. It's not to say you're not going to get the money, but you're deferring it to later years to go take a shot with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay and a championship caliber team. You might do it. I mean, I think I would do it. He's been making $20 million a year for 3 years now, dude. It's not like he's broke and if I'm him, I take the shot. So it's not impossible. I'll say it's not impossible. Difficult, but I get why you say it. I totally get why you say it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Who else?
All right. I was gonna make an outlandish statement and say I'll bet my balls you're gonna have this one too, but I'm not willing to part of my balls that easily. So
they're so important. They're so valuable,
especially after the hand job conversation that got me uncomfortable. I'm gonna say the end. I'm gonna say the.
Did I go too far with that one? I went too far with that one.
Listen, this is what we do.
I'm just saying. Could you imagine you went. Your friend has a poker game and you're all sitting at the table. There's 7 of you. You're having bourbons and drinks and you're playing cards and the money's flying and the stories. Dude, you remember in high school, Colasano was such a dick as a coach, but then he got the lights for the Saddlebrook game and it was kind of cool. And then somebody else like, oh, dude, you remember I banged this jam? It was so good. And you're like, dude, last month I got a hand job from Aaron Rodgers, and it just goes quiet. Like, wait, what? And you're like, nah, I got video and everything. Holy shit.
Dude, you get all quiet. I'm on the Jeopardy set in L.A. And me and Rodgers go out for a steak, and he gives me a fucking hand job. No.
And they're like, why did he do that? And you're like, because I brokered a deal to get Julio Jones to the Green Bay Packers. And he was like, dude, that was you? And I'm like, yeah, it was me. And he's like, dude, you want a hand job? And you're like, yeah, of course I do. You can see it happening. Crazier things have happened, right? I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh.
Listen, if you asked Aaron Rodgers, would you give Scott Bracey a hand job if he can get Julio Jones to the Green Bay Packers? The guy makes $40 million a year, and he'd be like, I'd think about it. Can I wear a glove? And if I told you Aaron Rodgers was going to do it, but he was going to wear a glove, you'd be like, that's cool. Anyway, who's your third team?
I hope I have a job on Friday is what I'm hoping for.
Who's your third team?
My third team is the Indianapolis Colts.
I didn't have them. I'm with you on this one. Though. I didn't think of it. I just didn't think of it. I came up short on this one. I agree.
So I know they have some cash.
They got the cash. They could use another receiver.
Now they think they could use another receiver. They got the running game going. They got the offensive line. I think it's a great fit.
Oh my goodness, that's brilliant, sir. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Nah, it's brilliant. I don't know how I didn't come up with that. It's brilliant.
Once in a blue moon, brother.
No, you nailed this one. Yeah, well done.
And number 4, I have the Los Angeles Chargers.
Didn't think of that one either. Tell me about that.
So that was my wild card pick because the other 3 teams are playoff teams and they're really close.
Who do the Chargers have at wide receiver right now?
They got Keenan Allen.
That's kind of it. That's their main guy. That's it.
Hunter Henry's gone.
True.
Tight end's gone.
Yeah.
Mike Williams is always banged up. This guy can't make it through a full season. He barely plays 8 games.
But when he plays, he's kind of a Julio Jones body. He's kind of like that kind of big. Am I wrong about that? He's kind of a big body.
You're not. You're not far off on that. But
I'm not saying he's Julio Jones. I'm just saying he's a big bodied receiver, receiver.
And if I'm Julio Jones' team, I'm going strong arm quarterback, young guy, great weather.
I was just gonna say great weather.
Let's do it, man.
Living in LA, man. Living the life in LA.
What do you think Julio has left? Three really productive years left. 2.
I think that's fair. He's 32. He's 32 years old. 3 is pushing it.
So that was my non-playoff team that I'm thinking.
I don't mind that one.
Maybe the second toughest division in football, but if they got the money and they want to make some noise, why not?
Not a terrible idea.
Now I'm excited to hear your 3, bro.
I actually feel rather deficient in the teams that I had because only one of them is like semi-exciting. I have Tennessee.
Okay.
I just feel like they lost the kid Corey Davis to the Jets. I don't know what kind of cap space they had, but I'm saying Corey Davis is gone. They also lost a tight end, so they lost two receiving threats. They already have a great running game, great offensive line, pretty good receiver. I'm not going to say great quarterback. I'm not going to say great, but pretty good. Certainly can get the ball, drive the ball down the field, and a competitive team, a winning type team. I then had Carolina.
In division, that's tough to me.
Yeah, I'm going to cross them right off the list that quickly. We're going to move off of that quickly because I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking because they had the money and they had pieces. They had money and they had pieces to trade, but you just killed that trade. Boy, you've dominated this segment. My goodness. You've absolutely destroyed me. I think I'll get some points with this one, although this team will be similar to Green Bay in that I don't know how they could make it happen. But Seattle, let Russ cook. Russ has been... Well, he's been asking for some help on offense, some weapons on offense, and I'm just thinking, boy, you put him and DK Metcalf on opposite ends, and it's like, holy shit, it's kind of similar to what you got in Green Bay.
That was my next question to you. So if you do that, if you put him and Metcalf on opposite
because Lockett is more of a slot. Lockett's more of a slot.
Yeah. So you keep all 3, and then you don't trade one. So then you have
oh my god, yeah, of
receiving
course.
Core.
Yeah, well that's
Christ.
Well then, because then you go to Russ and you say, "What now, dude? What are you gonna complain about now? We gonna lose in the first round of playoffs again?"
Right at home.
Yeah, but I gotta be honest with you. I say Seattle because I thought Russ. I'm thinking Russ wants what Russ wants. He's being a little, amateur GM. But just like Green Bay, so I'm a total friggin' hypocrite here because I said, you can't get him to Green Bay because they don't have the cash. Seattle doesn't have it either. So I don't know why I even showed up for this segment because...
So well done.
I don't, you just wiped the floor with my face. Oh...
But the point of the segment was Julio maybe gets traded.
Well, what I will say is that it was my idea 2 months ago that Julio might be on the move, and everybody told me I was a douchebag and an idiot. I may be a douchebag, but I'm not an idiot, so there's that.
Listen, you were a douchebag and an idiot at times, but this time wasn't one of them.
No, it wasn't.
If that's fair.
Listen, like it or not, the salary cap, it is a hard cap. It's the only sport I can't say about the NHL. I have no idea. But of the 3 major sports, it's the only one that it's truly a hard cap. There is no luxury tax. There's no go over the cap and pay a fine or whatever the hell they can do in the NBA. It's a hard cap. And the reason they do that is to level the playing field, or else your Green Bays and your Kansas Cities wouldn't even be able to compete. Okay? But because of that, it's something that you always need to keep in mind. And I pointed this out months ago. You didn't disagree with me. I'm not trying to say you were like, you poo-pooed me. Other people were like, they're never going to do that. And I'm like, well,
I hear you.
They have to, because you have to get 52 guys on the goddamn field. So,
yeah.
I'm not surprised. While other people were like, "Holy shit," I'm not surprised at all. What I'll be surprised of is how it ends up, because where he ends up, because it never goes the way we think. J.J. Watt ends up on Arizona. Clowney ends up on Cleveland. Like, guys just never end up, where we think they're going to go. So we'll probably be surprised. Although we just put 7 teams out there, so I don't know how surprised we can be. But we'll be like, how the hell did they do that? How did Green Bay get them? They finagled the cap, and they twisted and turned and stretched it and twisted it and arm wrestled it, and they made it happen.
Yeah, listen, and they could call Ryan Rodgers and go, listen, we have a chance to go Julio. You want to take a pay cut?
Yeah, take a $10 million pay cut, dude.
Yeah.
Go work Jeopardy. Go work Jeopardy for 6 months, make $10 million, and that'll make up for bringing in Julio Jones. Oh, and
you're banging this new actress now, whatever. She's making some cash.
And Scotty Bracey gets a little Gets a little work on the side just to finish it off properly. It's a signing bonus.
Snapping the carrot.
It's the bump and run. It's the B&R bonus. All right, so the trade cycles never stop in the NFL. We had another one today. I don't know if this comes as a bit of a surprise. You know what? I take that back. I was a little bit surprised, and I also was a little bit surprised at the price. You want to tell us about it today? Because it involved your Denver Broncos.
So we had this on our radar earlier in the week when we talk about what we want to talk about. And I'm very pissed off because this would have made me look like a genius if this happened tomorrow morning. However, Teddy Bridgewater of the Carolina Panthers was traded to the Denver Broncos today for a 6th-round pick. So as a passionate Bronco fan that you know and my buddies know that I am, I like this move, to be honest with you.
I do too, but I think for very different reasons. So I'm gonna let you start.
I think so too, and I think I know what you're gonna say because you're not a big Drew Lock fan. However,
I am not.
The Broncos gave up essentially nothing for this.
Yeah,
they gave up a 6th-round pick.
For a legitimate, Patton, I just want to say for a legit. Not a top tier starting quarterback, but for a legitimate NFL starting quarterback.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, that Maker's 46 is good stuff.
Lovely. I'm having some Wild Turkey 101. Probably my favorite bourbon right now.
Attaboy. Beautiful. So George Patton, the new Broncos general manager, and thank God John Elway took a step back because that was getting nutty. George Patton was a part of the staff in Minnesota who drafted Teddy. So I always thought this was a possibility the last couple of weeks leading into tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So he's obviously a big fan of him. I love Teddy's personality. We've talked about this before. We like Teddy's story coming back from that almost the same story as Alex Smith before the Alex Smith knee.
Correct.
His knee was in bad shape and losing the blood and the infection before that all happened years back.
Multiple surgeries, like said, wondering if he'd be able to walk regular, never mind play football.
Correct. And the Broncos are looking at a quarterback, or maybe were, maybe still are, in the discussion at 9 to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, this could maybe do one or two things. And I know I'm going to kind of contradict myself here, but
I don't think you are. I think I know where you're going, and I don't think it's a contradiction. But go ahead.
So taking Teddy at 9, or traded for Teddy, giving away a 6th-round pick, can now either you shift your focus totally away from quarterback at 9. You go defense, you go line, you go corner, or whatever they have them. You trade back maybe. You have a lot of options here. Or does that maybe open up a quarterback possibility even more? Do you take a guy like Trey Lance, a guy that's going to sit a year or two, that needs to build, that needs to sit and learn your offense at 9? That makes me very nervous, obviously, because you know how I feel about this guy. So I'm thinking the former. I'm thinking that they're no longer in need of a quarterback. Listen, maybe Drew Lock, this is perfect for him. A little quarterback competition, a little fire under the ass. Maybe Lock wins the job, but if something happens to Lock, he's had some injuries in college. He was injured last year for a while. We know Teddy can do the job. You said before, he's a capable quarterback in the NFL.
Yes.
So that's where I stand on it right now. I like the move. You give up nothing. It's only icing on the cake for me right now, unless Teddy wins the job, which you think he's going to. I see it on your face already.
So, okay. So I will approach this from two perspectives. Number one, I think they brought in Teddy. You brought in Teddy Bridgewater because you're done with Drew Lock. You don't.
I disagree.
You don't bring in a guy who's already a legitimate starter, probably considered a better starter than the guy you already have if you don't intend him to start. And with that said, nobody at this point in Teddy Bridgewater's career considers him your quarterback for the next decade. So as far as I'm concerned, whether you think so, like you're a lot higher on Drew Lock than I am. Because I don't see a guy who's passionate. I don't see a leader. I don't see a grown-up.
This is the third or fourth time you've mentioned that, and I don't get that from your angle.
Why?
Know.
I see a laissez-faire guy who like take it or leave it. This is me. Dancing on the sideline. I just don't see a professional. Listen, this is
dude. Okay, Mr. Sam Darnold fan, the fucking guy on the bench of seeing ghosts. You want that guy? You want a guy that's enjoying himself when he did something good?
I didn't like. Did I say I was okay with Sam Darnold saying he was seeing ghosts? But I also don't see Sam Darnold on the sideline doing the Italian Tarantella over there thinking, oh, look how great I am when you got one of the lowest completion percentages in the friggin' NFL.
Oh, he's a young man. Let him enjoy himself.
But this is, okay, so you're making my point here, or you're taking me to my point. This is not a wide receiver. This is not Jefferson over in Minnesota who's a friggin' big mouth talking back to Kirk Cousins. You can be that if you're you can be kind of a jerk off if you're a wide receiver. You can be kind of a jerk off if you're a running back. You know, if you're a linebacker, if you're a corner, if you're a safety, you can do it. You could be Jamal Adams and be a big mouth wise ass, and half the time you're hurt. Demanding big. You're the face of the franchise. You are the quarterback. It's unfair. Let me start this off this way. It's unfair. You're asking a 21, 22, 23-year-old kid to come in and be as mature as a 40-year-old man. It's not fair. But this is the friggin' job. This is who Andrew Luck was. This is who Joe Montana was. This is who Tom Brady was. This is who Ben Roethlisberger wasn't. And this is the only problem they've ever had with Ben is because he was immature, but he was so goddamn talented. Your talent, if you're not going to be a mature leader, professional, your talent better overwhelm. This is the problem with Cam Newton. This is the problem with Jameis Winston. This was the problem with Johnny Manziel. And I just don't. No, I'm not saying Drew Lock is Johnny Manziel. Slow down. I'm not saying he's Johnny Manziel. I'm saying the problem is he's not a grown-up.
Reel it back in, baby.
He's not a grown-up. He's not a leader.
He's 23 years old.
So what?
Listen, dude.
Who else is 20? How old is the Chiefs? Mahomes. How old is he? Same age?
When did the NFL become 2 years and we gotta get rid of a quarterback? When did we have?
When you see that he sucks.
He didn't start until his 10th game his rookie year, and he missed 6 games last year. The guy's got basically no friggin' guide here, and you're willing to throw him out with the trash. I am thoroughly willing to throw him out with the trash, and so is Denver.
I hope he makes you look like. And so is Denver. If they didn't think so, they would have brought in Joe Flacco to back him up again. But they don't. They bring in a guy who can beat him out. That's why, you know why they brought in a guy who can beat him out? Because they want the guy to beat him out. And now I'm going to take you to the draft. They're not off the board on quarterback. I agree with you that if a guy like Trey Lance or Justin Fields falls to them, they're going to take him. And you know what? They should.
Shut up.
And the reason that they should is because you know it, I know it, and everyone else knows it. They're done with Drew Lock. You don't call. He's only going into his 3rd year, right? You don't call for a quarterback competition if you believe in your 3rd-year quarterback. Jets didn't do that with Sam Darnold, did they? And he stunk.
How'd it work out for you?
And he stunk.
Work out for you.
But I'm talking about, and he's gone, right? So you just brought in competition for your 3rd-year quarterback. And what, you think they love him? They're done with him. They want him to get beat out. And here's why. Because a year from now, they can relinquish Teddy Bridgewater's contract. It won't cost him a dime, and they'll be done with Drew Lock. Now, for the draft, I don't think they're off the board on quarterback. But where I will agree with you is this move opened up a multitude of options.
A ton. Yes.
A multitude of options. They can stay there and go defense. Ooh. I don't know. For those of you who are listening, we're recording this after 8 o'clock at night. Usually we record in the afternoon, and I think we got a little extra paprika in our in our attitudes today.
My arm just won't stop pouring.
Oh, my arm! I think it's broken.
Oh, my arm!
They could go defense if they want to. I shouldn't even say defense. They can draft anywhere they want, or they could trade back. They can stay there and take a quarterback if one falls to them. They have a lot of options. They really do have a lot of options. So for all those reasons, I like the move. And like you said, it's a bargain. It's a steal. Who gives a shit about a number 6 pick? Steal. It matters. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say a number 6 pick doesn't matter. But to get a true starting quarterback for a 6th-round pick, it's a steal. It's a no-brainer. But where me and you differ is you think they actually give a shit about Drew Lock. They're done. They're done with Drew Lock. And I got to be honest with you.
I disagree with you.
I got to be honest with you. I think Drew Lock's going to have trouble even finding a friggin' job. Because I think his reputation is mud in this league right now. I don't think too many teams like them coming out of the draft.
He's not O.J. Simpson. Let's calm down. Oh, my God.
But if Aaron Rodgers offered to give him no, I'm kidding.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I just listen. In all seriousness, I don't think a lot of teams liked him coming out of the draft. I think Denver was desperate.
That I could agree with you.
Now
Denver.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So there were rumors that Denver wanted him at 10, and they got him at 40, 41 or something like that. So I was sitting there as a Broncos fan going, "Holy shit! We got him 30 picks there than they thought." And but maybe that
because
you're saying that a lot of teams are
because along with the lines of what you're saying, the physical traits are there. The guy, his physical ability, the arm talent, the mobility, it's all there.
But you just can't dance. He's anti Kevin Bacon in Footloose.
Yeah, don't dance on the sidelines when you're the starting quarterback. Don't like dab. I mean, come on, man, you can't do it.
You were the same guy that Cam Newton went to the Super Bowl. Oh,
am I a Cam Newton guy?
Well, no, you're not. But however,
no. Why don't I like Cam Newton? Because he's a friggin' he's an idiot.
But all your defenses, you went to Super Bowl.
Well, of course, because that's the goal.
I understand.
I bring up Cam Newton for Justin Fields because I say, man, if he's going to be Cam Newton, well, friggin' Cam Newton went to a Super Bowl. I'd like to go to a Super Bowl. Without
Super Bowl
without the crazy hats. Can we get Cam Newton without the hats and without the weirdness? Then I'm in. You know. Now I'm making a case for Justin Fields at number 2 to the Jets. Jesus. I don't know if we could do this at night anymore. So I
like it better at night, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just think Denver's done with Drew Lock. I just don't think you bring in a guy like Teddy Bridgewater if you're happy with your guy. It's a competition. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you that. I'm going to ask you this and I'm going to let you roll. Tell me the last time a team brought in competition for their current starter and their current starter kept their job. We're going to bring in some competition because we're going to try to light a fire under his ass. And when does that work out?
Time than that, but there has been a time or two, I think.
Yeah.
Well, how about Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes?
They didn't bring in Patrick Mahomes to be competition for Alex Smith. They brought him in to replace him, which he did.
Replace him? Well, Bridgewater's not doing that. If he does, then the Broncos have more problems than I think.
And what? So, but I think they do, and that's why I'm saying don't be so quick to assume they won't still draft a quarterback.
So, let me put a bow on this puppy, and then we can move on.
For sure.
On a serious note, as a Bronco fan, if Bridgewater bumps him out and plays well, then we know Bridgewater's the guy. Lock's gone. If Lock is up to the challenge and beats out Bridgewater, and then now we use those weapons, we compete in that division, we go 10-7, 11-6. Then now we know Lock's the guy. So I think this is a big year for either one of them to maybe put their stamp on the job. Because this because Bridgewater's he's not Joe Flacco at this point. He can still play.
No, yeah, he's still a young guy too.
So he's gonna go into that job thinking he's gonna win it, which is as a Bronco fan and the draft talk and everything else aside, as a fan and as a competitor. And as a team that needs a quarterback for the first time since Peyton Manning, let's figure it out. Let's go. Because the team's good. The team's talented.
So I don't think Teddy Bridgewater in any way, shape, or form is your long-term answer to this position. But let's be real about that division. While I think the division is competitive and interesting, and especially at the quarterback position, let's not pretend that the Raiders are a great team. Let's also remember that the Chargers were a sub-500 team last year. So there's absolutely no reason that Teddy Bridgewater, with that offensive line and those weapons on offense, and if the defense plays up to its potential, that they couldn't be the second best team in that division. And if they're the second best team in that division, you could potentially be a playoff team.
For sure.
But I just don't think that Teddy Bridgewater is he's not your answer. But I'm just saying for this year, and then if you have a quarterback in mind for the future, that's why I'm saying, dude, think about this. Teddy Bridgewater, it's Teddy's job to lose. Whether you think so or not, it's Teddy Bridgewater's job to lose. Now, what's fascinating...
I think it's Lock's job to lose. I think it's Lock's job to lose.
It's absolutely not, because you don't bring in this guy for that. But here's where Lock...
Yeah, but listen, Lock's confidence is fried if that's the thing. That's it.
They don't care. They don't give a shit about his confidence.
You had
3 years. You had 2 years to build your confidence.
Different GM did draft.
Yeah, they have no. Yeah, but here's where it kind of does get interesting. You know what quarterback was challenged and came back and won his starting position this past season and turned out? Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was told at the end of what would that be? 2019.
Take the Jets thong off.
No, this is not a Jet. This is a Zach Wilson thing. He was told, sorry, buddy, you didn't have the best season we were thinking, and there's a quarterback competition. And you know what he did? He said, let's do it. And he went and he made himself better and won the damn job, and now he's going to be probably the second pick in the draft. So does it happen? Yeah, it does happen. And if that were to happen...
Wait. It's just in. Drew Lock is practicing at Mile High Stadium right now because he got the same advice. Let's go. I'm going to win the job, baby. Let's go.
So if Drew Lock turns it on, listen, who's more talented? Who's bigger? Who's stronger? Who's a better runner? Who's a better thrower? Who's more accurate? There's no question about that. Drew Lock is more talented than Teddy Bridgewater. Oh, by the way, he's younger and cheaper. So, but they don't believe in him anymore. You don't bring in Teddy Bridgewater if you still believe him. But if Drew Lock puts in the work from now till camp, he's more talented. So could he win the job? Absolutely. If he shows out and goes off. Listen, coaches aren't stupid. They want to win. GMs aren't stupid. They want to win. If it's just obvious that Drew Lock put in the work and now he's clearly the leader and all this kind of stuff, they're going to play him. But it's Bridgewater's job to lose.
So he was working with Peyton Manning all off season, which is a great sign. I'm not saying I don't know any results on anything yet, but I'm just saying that's what I heard. And that's a good start. It
is because his problems aren't physical. His problems are mental. We'll say like reads. Personal. Yeah. Are you a leader? Yeah. Are you a leader? Do you take your job seriously? Are you a professional? Are you going to dance on the sidelines? Like, don't do that.
Listen, I swear to God, if we play the Jets and he throws a touchdown and dances, I am driving to your house.
All right.
And I'm gonna dance in front of you.
If he does that, I'll dance with you.
My man, pots and pans.
And we'll put it on Instagram.
So I got something for you. We'll transition into something that I heard this morning.
Okay.
On one of our favorite radio shows, the Dan Patrick Show. Mr. Mel Kiper, your boy,
a true professional that Dan Patrick is.
Oh, what a hero. Mr. Mel Kiper was on, and he mentioned something that I thought was very interesting. So he said that he heard through the grapevine if the Jets picked third, they would have kept Arnold and traded back to get more picks, is what we were thinking it even at number 2.
Yeah.
So that's how much they fell in love with Wilson.
You think
at the pro day? That's what we think. Yes.
Yeah. I don't think it happened at the pro day. I think that's.
I do.
I think it's just talk.
Because there was a long time. Well, everything's talk up to this point.
Because they were already pegged to take him at number 2 before the pro day.
Yeah, remember, but there was a lot of talk keeping Sam. There was a lot of stuff going on, dude.
That's what the talk was. I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
Well, the same talk could go the other way too, pal. You know, it works both ways.
All right, go easy on me.
So I'm sorry. So here's another thing that I found interesting.
So let me just say this. I don't know that that's not true. I think that's probably true.
No, I think it is.
No,
true.
I think that's true.
I think it's an interesting thing, though.
I think it's probably true whether it's Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. Like, if you can get your guy, you get your guy.
No, I don't think so. I think it's Wilson.
No. I don't mean it like that. Let me rephrase that.
Okay.
I think at number 2 they can get their guy. So whether that guy is Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, I don't know. I'm just saying, I know it's probably Zach Wilson. I'm just keeping this possibility open. Maybe I just want to look like a genius if they end up taking Justin Fields. Okay. But all I mean is by saying that is whoever they're picking at number 2, like, that's their guy. And if that wasn't who they could get, then I'm not. That doesn't surprise me at all. I truly do believe they were doing a full, legitimate eval of all potential quarterbacks that could come in, along with Sam, and really looking at what's the best option for us. Forget about the money right now. What's the best option I really do think they were doing a deep dive into that, and I think that's why the trades didn't happen that were potentially possible early on. I just don't think they were ready. I think they were really doing their due diligence, which I'm actually thrilled to hear, because I feel like this regime is much more prepared and doing the work that previous regimes haven't really done. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you?
You want? No, it does not surprise me. I was shocked that Kuiper came out and said it draft eve.
Well, is
what I was.
Is that his opinion, or is he doing some reporting? Because that's not.
No,
really
he said inside sources.
That's not normally his thing, man. So then that's probably a real deal.
And DP was taken aback. He's like, "Oh, really?"
It's not his thing. He's not a reporter. That's an Adam Schefter kind of move.
He's not Schefter. You're right.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting to me.
So here's an interesting fact. Sam Darnold is the same age as Kyle Trask.
Isn't that something?
It's crazy.
Isn't that something?
Dude.
This was part of the evaluation process. Like, this kid is 20. He's going to be 23 years old when his season starts. He's still very young.
Because when he came in, he was the youngest player
20 years old.
Youngest kid ever to be in the NFL, right? Yeah. I think Juju a year later passed it or some weird shit.
Yeah, he was definitely like the youngest starting quarterback in NFL history.
Crazy stuff, man.
This is part of why, people probably laughed at us and thinking it was Jets bias or local bias because we were talking Sam Darnold all the time, talking to Jets. That was the story. And guess what? We said, listen, if Sam Darnold gets moved and once the draft comes, the story's over, because it's over. It's the speculation, and there's real speculation, and it boggled my mind, as we said 1,000 times, because so many people were coming to his defense with such horrendous stats. Nobody's coming to Josh Rosen's defense. Like, people have a hard time even coming to Kirk Cousins' defense, and he puts up monster numbers. But yet they're coming to this guy who's the 34th rated quarterback in the NFL, and there's only 32 teams. Like, you got to ask why. You have to ask why. Part of it is that your coach was Adam Gase. Part of it is that you were part of a Jets team that had zilch for talent. Like, Sam Darnold was probably the 7th best offensive lineman on a team, and he's not an offensive lineman. Like, they had no receivers. Like, it just was bad organization, bad timing, tough division at the time. You're facing New England and Buffalo, and people just look, and like you just mentioned, he's young. Like, you're not talking, like, if you take Kyle Trask right now, he better be good pretty soon, because he's gonna have gray hair in like 3 years. So it was all part of it, but it is fascinating.
He's gonna be Brandon Whedon soon.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up, because it makes us look good, because we were talking about something that was real.
Yes, sir.
It was real. So, I have something here that I was surprised how much kind of feedback. And the feedback I got was personal. Like, it was just texts and direct conversation from people who listen to the podcast. But it was more than I would have thought. And it was on your classic Yankees rant, where you started, quite calm. You seemed quite cool, calm, and collected, because you're like, it's early and season just started, and the Yankees have kind of done this before, where they start off cold and everything's going to be fine.
Lollygaggers.
And the adrenaline started pumping, and the blood pressure started rising, and the love for your Yankee rant last week was apparent. And I got some interesting comments. One of the questions that came up is, are you surprised, concerned, bothered by the fact that the Yankees at Yankee Stadium have no real left-handed power in their lineup? Like, is this something? Is it like,
yes,
Brian Cashman, you've been here for 20 years and you got no real lefty power in this lineup?
Yeah. For sure. So that's a great question and a great point. So a couple years back, me and my buddy Fabuch, Chris Allen, your buddy of yours too, cigar pal,
an aficionado.
We had a
to be sure.
We had a three. Great word, great call. We had a Sunday package for 3 years, and their lineup consisted of Robinson Cano, Nick Swisher, Curtis Granderson, a switch hitting Jorge Posada. And there's another lefty in there that I'm missing, Melky Cabrera, I believe.
Oh yeah.
So they had a lot of left-handed bats in that short porch,
Melky
man.
Juice Cabrera.
Oh, Mark Teixeira too. Switch hitter Mark Teixeira. Excuse me, I forgot another guy. So yeah. So now all of a sudden, the last 2-3 years, they
if I may interrupt you, from that point, if you go back about 80 years, they've always had significant left-handed bats in this lineup because it's about 220 down the line.
Absolutely, it's Elmwood Park, Borough Field.
Yeah, come on, it's a pop shot. You can hit it out of there with a wiffle ball.
It's very alarming, and the left-handed. Listen, I'm not going to go on a rant today. I'm very calm. The Yankees have won a couple since the rant. But Brett Gardner again, 38 years old, batting third. Aaron Hicks, switch hitter. They paid him. He's brutal. Aaron Hicks is brutal. Go play golf. Fuckface.
Now he could bat lefty, right? Because he's a switch hitter.
Switch hitter, yeah, and he's got more. His average right now, his pop is better from the right-handed side.
So, but he's a mental case? Is that his problem? You think? Is that his biggest?
I don't think he's a mental case. I think he sucks. I don't think. I just don't think he's a good.
That's worse. I'd rather be a mental case than just not that good.
Yeah. Can you be Lenny Dykstra?
But hey, did you listen to that Bump and Run podcast? Yeah, that Kyle Sanders, he's a real mental case. Hey, he's really good, but he's total mental case.
He wants hand jobs.
Did you hear the Aaron Rodgers hand job rant?
So they just brought up a guy from the minor leagues from Princeton, Mike Ford, who's a left-handed bat, and he's actually hit 3 bombs in the last 4 or 5 games, which is a great start, which is what no one else has been doing. But this is what we're talking about.
But then we're back to this idea that all they are is home runs. It's like home run or die.
Well, we know that. That's what they are. They listen. They're not going to hit and run. They're not going to double steal on you. They're not going to double steal with Urshela and Torres. They have shit in their pants when they run the bases. Yeah. They're not going to do it, guys. Like that's what they are. So if they don't hit on runs, they're a stale team.
It does seem that way. Which leads me to the next comment that I got, and one of the people who I was talking to said, don't be so quick to poo-poo analytics because he's kind of a numbers guy, and I'm like, well, I'm not trying to poo-poo analytics, and I got no problem even building your team based on analytics. What I got a problem is basing every single one of your goddamn in-game decisions on analytics, because there's got to be some, what's the friggin' thing I'm trying to say? Like that, the personal feel, the in-game feel. Otherwise, why do you even have a friggin' manager? I was listening today on, I don't know if it was on Kay's show or somebody, I think it was on Kay, and they're talking about firing somebody. I'm like, what the frick are you talking about? Fire somebody. Nobody even makes decisions based on anything anymore. It's all based on numbers. And if it's all based on numbers, then there's really no reason to fire anybody. There's also no reason to pay anybody. Why are you paying these managers anything? And so I just think it's a mistake. You have these guys, you hire these guys who know baseball. You can have strategy based on numbers. You can have lineups based on numbers. You can pick free agents and make trades based on numbers, and I'm fine with that. But in game, man, I manage a Little League baseball team right now. And sometimes I'm just like, I just got a feeling this guy's just going to hurt. And you know what? Sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not going to work. But guess what? Sometimes analytics works and sometimes that shit don't work. In the NFL, over the last couple of years, you saw teams going for 2 like at strange times in the game. And I had friends and family asking, why the hell are they going for 2? And I said, it's got to be some kind of analytics thing. But what analytics doesn't tell you is what it does to a team's psyche. See, like if you're down by 7, or if you're down, let's say you're down by 7, and like somehow the analytics say you get the touchdown, you go for 2, so that you can then go for, if you don't get it, you can go for 2 again because it's a 50-50 proposition. But what you don't understand is if your team is down by 8, as opposed to being down by 7, you're mentally different.
Thank you.
And analytics can't friggin' measure that all the time. So analytics can't tell you how Derek Jeter's shoulders go down because he knows what happens when a certain reliever comes into the game. Because that guy always gives up hits, even though the numbers say go with a lefty. You know what I mean? So I got no. I'm not here to bash analytics. I just am not so big on it in game. Let managers and players, coaches, let them do what they do in game. There's got to be some human element because it's a human game. Period.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to stick up for you because you said it last week. I'm not poo-pooing analytics as a whole, but we need bits and pieces of with my eyeballs that we can manage a baseball game here.
There's just no doubt about it. There's nothing wrong with a bunt. There's nothing wrong with a guy saying, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to slap the ball the other way. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, man. That's part of a game. And, oh, by the way, it's a game. There is strategy. It's not just numbers.
Yeah. In the olden days, what did they say? Slap one down. Get out of the slump. Get a bunt down. You get a little confidence. Feel your foot on first base. You get the mindset going. All that, like Clint Frazier now. Clint Frazier's struggling like you can't believe. He's hitting fly ball after fly ball at a winning track. He's frustrated. Today he hit a home run. Smile, the confidence, like you just don't know, like just to fill that column. It's human element.
No, there's no doubt about
personality. You don't know, like what these guys think.
How many times we see a shift, like a massive shift, or at least when shifting really started big time, and you look and you're like, there's one guy on the left side of the infield. You're a freaking professional hitter. You're gonna tell me you can't just slap one that way and get a hit?
Yeah.
And just say, dude, if you're gonna do this to me, I'm gonna slap it over there every friggin' time, and I'm gonna bat 700. You can't do that.
It ruined Mark Teixeira's career.
I think he's actually who I have in mind. And what's fascinating about Teixeira and Giambi before him is before they were Yankees, they were able to hit the ball to the left center field gap as lefty hitters. They were left center field, right center field gap hitters. Giambi was a beast at going from left center to right center. He really wasn't a dead pull hitter when he was with Oakland. And you come to that short porch and they become, dead pull hitters. And you're like, bro, you were a great hitter. You were a great hitter who hit 35 home runs. And now you're going to be a poor hitter who hits 37. It doesn't make sense.
Not only a power hitter, average hitter, and a great walk guy. He's on base percentage.
This is what I'm saying. Teixeira was like a 320 hitter and had 35 home runs. And then he became a 280 hitter with 37 home runs. That's not better.
And nobody cares about the friggin' on-base percentage anymore, which I think is bananas. Like, what's the point? Get on base and score. Like, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
So the last comment I got in regards to the Yankees was kind of a question comment. Like, aren't they just too fragile also? And is this a problem with trades, free agency? Like, you're bringing in... Now, I don't know that Giancarlo Stanton was fragile before he got here. Ellsbury was not so much fragile with the Red Sox before he got. I know he's not there now, but I'm just saying, like, I'm looking back and I'm thinking, some of these guys just because it's even like Judge is another one. Like, I don't know, was he always just so fragile, or because you brought up the idea that these guys don't even want to dive, and like, are they just?
It's not. I don't think it's not that they don't want to. I think it's been told to them that.
That's what I'm saying. Are they just a fragile team then? And if they are they even really a viable contender?
In 2017. A year, I think it was a year removed when they traded Chapman, they traded Beltran, they traded Miller in the bullpen, and they got all these pieces back, like these young pieces. Like even like Don LaGreca on the Michael Kay show hates the Yankees. He said I can't stand the Yankees. In 2017, they were a fun baseball team.
Yes,
Judge hits 50 bombs as a rookie. Like this team was fun, man.
Yes.
Like Didi. And LeMay wasn't even there yet. Stanton wasn't there yet. Like, this team was just fun. Sanchez was killing the ball. Yeah, his catching wasn't great, but who cared? Like, he was killing the ball.
He was a great hitter. Beautiful swing.
And now we're going, like, someone called up today and goes, a Yankee fan goes, I hate this team. I hate it.
They're just not fun to watch.
They bring nothing. They're not fun to watch. So to answer that question, are they fragile? Absolutely they are. But was it always like that? No, because Judge played a full year, and Stanton won an MVP in Miami, obviously playing a full year. I don't know. And the Yankees has fired their old training and weightlifting staff because it's got so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the hell's going on. And listen, you can't blame the cold weather. It's fucking colder in Cleveland and Detroit and Chicago and Boston.
It's not even cold here.
There's a lot of teams that are dealing with this stuff. So
I'm listening to Philly radio today, and they're complaining
man.
They're complaining about the same things with analytics. And what you're seeing, so now we have the highest strikeout rate, like in the history of sport. We have the highest swing and miss rate. Let me rephrase that. I don't know about the strikeout rate. We have the highest swing and miss rate in the history of the sport. Oh, and Jesus. What that is guys are just swinging for the fences, and they don't give a shit about strikeouts. It's home run. It's a home run hitting game. And it's so funny to me because in the mid 90s and late 90s, the resurgence of baseball came because you had steroids and Bonds and McGuire and Sosa and all these guys hitting home runs. But the rest of the game, the rest of the sport was doing what baseball does. You still had guys stealing bases. Who even steals bases anymore? Do we even know who the leading base stealer in the league is? Is there anybody who even steals anymore?
I have no clue. My buddy at work does a fantasy baseball fantasy league, and he goes, "Oh, I gotta get this guy because it's stealing bases. It's a category. I go, what?
Does anybody do that anymore?
I go. What's the leader with 19? Like, I wasn't even being funny. I don't know because I don't see anybody do it. So
and what the problem is, any sport, when it becomes one-dimensional, this has happened in the NBA now. The NBA is basically dunks or three-pointers, and it's more three-pointers than dunks, frankly. And it's just becoming boring. And the NFL does the opposite. The NFL has become more of a passing league, and what's interesting about the passing league is that the ball's fucking flying all over the goddamn place. As opposed to 3 yards in a cloud of dust, it's flying all over the place. Now, they need to be really careful that it doesn't become so easy that it looks like 7-on-7, but we're not there yet. So, we're not there yet, and sport is very healthy.
Close.
The NBA and Major League Baseball are in a torturous position right now. NBA for two reasons. It's such a woke league. I swore I wasn't going to mention LeBron James's tweet. I'll just mention that he posted what he posted about that cop, and it was irresponsible.
Yeah,
and it puts a league that was already half hated by half the country even more on notice because they just say you don't care about us, you're not interested in us, and that's one half of why it's disliked, and one half of why nobody even talks about the NBA because 50% of their ratings are down 50%, 50 friggin' percent in a year. In a year, their ratings are down 50%. So nobody even, if you go to talk radio, the national shows, nobody talks NBA. They talk NBA for about 5 friggin' minutes because nobody watches. Partly because it's gone so politically correct or woke or whatever the hell whatever the hell you want to call it. The other part is because it's gotten boring as shit. Because it's just 3-pointers and dunks, and it's like it's no basketball anymore. It's just a boring game. And baseball has gotten that way because they've just become so goddamn one-dimensional, and it all goes back to analytics.
And NBA, it's also, let's join my 3 best friends and try to put something together. It's stupid.
It's a problem. Stupid. It's a problem. So,
but just to end your the Yankee rant conversation, I appreciate everyone commenting on that. It wasn't intentional. It
was entertaining though, that's for sure.
But I had a couple responses as well, and my buddy was like, a couple of my buddies were going, "Yep, that sounds right. Yep, yeah." I mean, like, I didn't get many disagreements with it because if you know baseball and you're a Yankee fan, this frustrates the hell out of you.
Yeah, interestingly, it wasn't so. One friend had a disagreement, not so much a disagreement, but he was saying, "Hey, don't kill analytics so much." And I'm just like, "Well, I got no problem with analytics," and we discussed that. But the rest of it was like, "Yeah." It's like you got no left-handed power, you got lineup issues, you got good pitching, but it's not always pitching great. And it's like you look like a fragile team. So yeah, it wasn't so much that there were disagreements with you. It was really more like that was entertaining as shit, and it was fun to listen to, and they were kind of glad you did it. And then there's also Yankee haters that like to hear that the Yankees are struggling a little bit. And I'll say to them, enjoy it now, because if you think this team is going to be like a sub 500 team.
You're dreaming.
Then you don't know analytics because they're not going to be a sub 500 team.
Yeah, especially in the American League.
Yeah, they're not. But the other side is I don't know that they're a championship team. And coming into the season, they were probably the favorites in the American League, or at least one of the favorites, and they certainly don't look like it now. So I don't know if they're going to end up being a championship team, but they definitely don't look like it right now.
Yeah, and when they get fully assembled, we'll get a better read on that. But right now, no, they do not, for sure. Yeah. No.
So I don't know if they're a championship team, but they're not the team that you're looking at right now. Like, slow down. No. Before you call Aaron Rodgers for a little work, you slow down a little bit. So last week we did our mock draft, and that inspired me. Like, what else could we kind of mock draft? Like, what else can we do a draft for? And I saw a post on Instagram. And by the way, if you're on Instagram, you can follow our Instagram page at Bump and Run Cast. And that's a great way to DM us, direct message us. And I'm hoping that you will direct message us on this particular topic. And if you don't want to direct message us because you feel so passionately that you need to talk directly to us, you can do that. And how do you do that? You do that through the Anchor app. If you listen to us on the Anchor app, Bump and Run podcast, just Bump and Run. I'm sorry, Bump and Run. And you listen on the Anchor app, you can leave us a voice message. As far as I know, it's the only app, it's the only program that you can use where you can actually leave a voice message. And I got a feeling we're going to get some voice messages this week, Scott, because our draft, as we'll say for this segment, is favorite sports movies of all time. And when I posed this to you, I think we both looked at this like, oh, this will be fun. And this is easy. And I immediately threw down five names, right? And then I went to a website that had I looked up hey, what are the greatest sports movies of all time? And it was 30 greatest sports movies of all time. And I started, I'm like, oh, that's one of them. Oh, that's one. And it almost instantly 3 out of the 5 that I originally put got bounced off the list. And then putting them in order, this was an act of fun and torture simultaneously.
I agree.
It was not easy, but it was absolutely fun. Now, we're going to start with our number 5, and we'll work our way to our top 1. And before I do that, I want to tell you how, I'll say what was my criteria for how I ended up at my 5. I really had I think 10, because I got my top 5, and then I have 5 honorable mentions. And 3 of those honorable mentions,
I got the same exact thing.
Yeah, so 3 of those honorable mentions were originally in the top 5, and then they got bounced.
Same exactly.
So what I've discovered of my actual top 5 is that if any of these 5 are on TV as I'm scrolling through to see what's on, I will watch, and I will watch till the end, regardless of what point they are in the movie. So
that's a great way of putting it.
Let's say I'll give you an example, the movie The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. That's one of those movies TBS plays it every other weekend, I think. And if I see that it's on, I'm watching. I don't care what point it's at. I'm going to watch it, and I'll watch it to the end. It's just a great movie. So that was how my top 5 got formed. And then I realized something interesting about most of my movies. As I give you my 5, I'm going to put them into the cryometer, which my cryometer will tell you how much crying I do while I watch these movies. Okay. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll start with our 5s, and we'll work our way from 5 all the way down to 1. And we'll give our justifications, we'll talk about them, and it'll be fun. And then we'll give our honorable mentions. And I think, listen, if you're listening and you don't call in on this one, then I don't even know if you got a pulse, man. You either don't have a pulse or you don't have any balls because you're afraid to call. Now, it's got to be one or the other. Now, give us a call or shoot us a DM on Instagram, Bump and Run Cast. So my number 5 with a cryometer rating of 5. So there's some tears here and there, but it's not a cry fest. The Natural, one of my favorites. Definitely one of those that if it's on, I go to, it stays on. There's just something about that kind of chromatic look of, the 1940s or 50s, whatever it is. Robert Redford.
Yeah.
It's got a pretty decent swing, if I'm being honest. The old baseball field, the bags for the bases, the coach.
The old lights. Yeah, the big lights on top of the stadium.
God, it's just something. There's something about that's like, I think most people who love baseball and love the tradition of baseball, that's kind of the image they have in their head, like Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Stan Musial, like that era. I don't know. That's kind of when we romanticize about baseball.
Julius Joe, Ty Cobb, all that stuff.
There's just an older look. That's the kind of way we think about it. So the natural for me comes in at number 5 with a cryometer rating of 5. It's a couple tears here and there, especially right at the end. But the movie itself, I don't necessarily, it's not much of a tearjerker. I just love it. I just absolutely love it. Your number 5?
My number 5, a classic, a golf comedy, Caddyshack, 1980 film.
Is it 1980?
Every time this movie's on, it was before I was born, but this movie cracks me up.
How about us making a reference to it earlier in the show? Oh, my arm. I think it's broken.
Oh!
$50 as you slice it in the woods.
You want to make $15 the hard way? Mm.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, and I never slice.
Never slice.
Okay, you can owe me.
Hey, nice hat. Looks good on you, though. Does it come with a free bowl of soup?
Hey, Wang, what's with the camera? It's a parking lot.
And I know our buddy Steve is laughing out loud right now.
And he's thinking, Pete, you sound okay, but you should get me... Maybe Steve will give us a couple on the voice message about how Rodney actually sounds in those, man. That would absolutely make the show next week. I love love the selection, Caddyshack, definitely. Oh, fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Call. All right, number 4 for me. I'm going basketball, and I'm heading to Indiana. Hoosiers with a cryometer rating of 6. This is not what I picture with basketball. In fact, there's many ways that this is not a basketball. I can make an argument. Wow, I just thought of another movie. That sucks. In many ways, this is not so much. Wow, and this movie would make my top 5. That's so messed up. Anyway, I'm gonna write it down and I'll talk about it later. In many ways, this is not a movie about basketball. It's a movie about redemption. And that's I think that's what makes it so great. When these movies have a story that's really beyond the sport. And the coach in this one, he basically socked the kid in the friggin' jaw. Yeah. And came back to bring these like lily white farmers to the state championship in Indiana. It's a great movie.
Great movie.
Great movie. Listen, great actors. There are some phenomenal actors. Gene Hackman. I'm trying to think of who the drunk dad is. What his real name is. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Passed away. Boy, I'm drawing a blank. Damn it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You'll see that you can see him in the movie. Hoosiers, great movie. 6 on the cryometer. 6. But my 4th ranked movie, greatest sports movie of all time.
That is a great movie. So my next 3 are baseball heavy, and I think Hollywood makes great baseball movies. But
because there's something about baseball, especially traditional baseball, like old school baseball. It's just a romantic thing. And the funny thing, what's funny about that? We were talking about analytics. What we romanticize about baseball is the total opposite of analytics. So that's probably why we love the movies that you're going to start mentioning.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, good call.
What's your number 4?
So number 4 for me is a flick out of 2001, and it's so funny. Billy Crystal was just on Michael K today talking about it. It's the movie 61.
Oh, dude, good call. I thought about this one. It wouldn't be in my top 5, but it's a great movie because it's a true friggin' story. And those guys nailed the acting. The actors nailed it.
Dude. Thomas Jane, I think, and Barry Pepper played Mantle and Maris.
Barry Pepper was awesome. Oh.
They did a hell of a job, man. They really did. And I was a junior. I was a sophomore in high school when this movie came out, and playing baseball with varsity level and having my dad tell me stories about these guys, and then having a movie, and Billy Crystal is a big Yankee fan, and just watching what Maris went through.
Oh my God, torture.
And we talk, and you want to talk about a Yankee rant like equivalent, like we're booing Stan, we're booing Sanchez, we're booing. Dude, Roger Maris was killing it, and just because he wasn't Mantle, he's getting booed. Putting up positive numbers, he's getting booed. So to come full circle on like the last week or two on this, and as a huge Yankee fan, and as like history, man, like Roger Maris, and he didn't know that he broke the record till he died. Like he didn't even know it. Like just that movie to me. You want to talk about tears to me when he goes to the hospital after and sees Mickey.
Yeah, dude, that's a great scene.
I can't be around anybody, dude. I'm not kidding you. Like,
dude, didn't it just feel real? Like when you saw that, you're like, those are the guys. Like those were actually that was Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. And that's what I mean, like great acting. Like those guys just killed those roles because Mickey was so confident and cocky, but at the same time, like he felt he was gonna die. He is like, everybody in my family dies early. So what are you talking about? But yeah, he listened to Roger and like kind of stayed relatively healthy that year and lived a better lifestyle.
And not only that, and then like he took. At the same time, he took Roger under his wing and then understood what Roger was going through because he dealt with DiMaggio under his dude. Like the whole thing,
the anxiety, the anxiety that Barry Pepper showed in being Roger Maris and the death threats and the shit that he went through, the way the press attacked him. Like, God, dude, he just killed that role, man. He killed it, and it was just
his
good
wife
call.
And his wife and 4 kids are in Kansas City, and he can't have a hug and like. When the whole thing is just it's Billy Crystal. Well done, pal. Like I love that movie.
Yep, good call on that one. I like that one. I love that movie. And to be honest with you, that's actually one where if it's on and I happen to land on it, I'm watching it.
I'm in.
You know, I'm watching.
I'm in.
This next one for me gets a bump up to a 10 on the cryometer. I don't think I could cry any more. I can cry less, I can cry the same, but I couldn't cry any more than I cry when I watch this movie. And I would tell you that Kurt Russell hits it out of the friggin' park in this movie, Miracle, which is about the 1980 United States Olympic hockey team. There's so many scenes that are great, but the one scene that I just lose my shit is after they beat the Russians, and instead of Kurt Russell, and Brooks, I forget his first name.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks was the director.
Yep.
Herb Brooks.
You're right.
Instead of going to his team, he goes into the hallway, and he just goes down, and just the way he just collapsed, as if to say, "Holy shit! Like we actually did it!" Like.
Well, not only
he couldn't contain himself. Like he was going to explode. And the way Kurt Russell did it, God, there's so much about that.
I think it was a part of like we actually did it, and a part of him was like, as you know, as a coach, was like, my plan freaking worked.
It worked.
Like my 24-year-old kids beat this
the greatest team ever assembled.
Soviet team. Yeah, man.
And then you see, I'm getting chills, dude. I'm getting chills because I can picture it. You see all those guys like Aruzioni and all of them jumping on he's calling, I can like start crying right now, like no shit. He's calling his teammates to come up on the podium and they all come up and somehow 20 guys fit on the friggin' podium with their gold medals. Like
10x10 podium.
Holy shit, because they're all just hanging on to each other just the way they played, you know? So, that one... As you can tell,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
That one works for me. I can't, and I actually have a DVD, a signed DVD by the goalie. I can't think of his name right now either, but
Craig.
Yeah. It's a hell of a movie, man. And what's great about it is it's friggin' true. It's freaking true. And it changed the world. It literally changed. I was a kid. It changed the world.
So what was that, 1980? Were you 7?
Yeah, about 7 years old. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I was a kid. Yeah. But I know, that was end of Jimmy Carter. We're coming into Reagan. And it was a rough time for America. It was a rough time for the United States. And this freaking sports team, this goddamn hockey team, made an entire country believe in itself. I mean, it's just hard to comprehend that, dude. You know, we've been around greats your whole life, but you don't know, I don't think you know what it's like to have a sports team. I don't know, maybe after 9/11 with the Yankees and the Mets, the way they kind of went at it and everything, like, but to have a sports team lift an entire nation, like literally lift an entire nation on its shoulders by doing something totally unexpected, was a hell of a thing, man. Yeah. It was a hell of a thing. Sure. And like I said, Kurt Russell, who I love him as an actor anyway, he just absolutely rocked this role. Like, he just killed it. He clearly did his research. I'll
give one away. I have them 8. I have them
okay.
So basically 3 on my honorable mention list. For sure. And I'll give something like I want to hit on, like what you just said, like at the end when they run the credits and they run the scroll and they're
showing the real guys.
Herb Brooks was never alive to watch this movie. He lived it. And you're like, oh my God.
I lose it.
I want to go to my garage door. Let's go.
Like, totally, man. It's hard. It's tough. And it's just great. And there's something about greatness. Or unexpected greatness, which really, because it makes everybody think maybe that could be me. You know.
Well, and that's what being a sports fan is all about.
For sure.
That one possibility, that one night is all you need.
Yep.
That's it.
It can happen at any time.
Oh, it's amazing.
What's your number 3?
So number 3 for me is a movie which I know it'll get you choked up, and I don't know if you have it on your list or not, but the end scene for me gets me every time. Field of Dreams.
Oh man. Yeah. Anybody who has a dad.
Oh, dude.
Or had a dad.
And a dad that's no longer with us.
For sure.
It gets me, and you as well. 1989, Kevin Costner, James Earl Jones.
Again, a great cast, great acting.
And the way that movie is directed and portrayed on how, dude, like ghosts. You build it. If you build it, they will come. And this August, the Yankees are going to play the White Sox there. I know. What a tremendous thing! Like,
how much does that movie and that whole idea mean that we're going to actually play a professional baseball game?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
PD, 100%. So that movie means a ton to me. Obviously, at the end, we're like, he didn't know his dad. His dad was always minor league, then not around, then this and that. And then he thought, as every 17, 18-year-old that ever's walked the earth, you think you know it all.
I know better than my dad. Yeah.
Right. Me and you, we've had this conversation a couple of times.
Many times.
Listen to 80s music on our 12th bourbon, and you regret it down the road. And that's what Kevin Costner, and that's what his character is saying. Where, give me one more chance.
Yep.
Give me one more chance. And
we all want it, and in this movie he got it, and I think we all kind of get to live vicariously for a moment through that character, and it's really friggin' cool. That movie is on my honorable mentions. It was one of the original 5, but because I had to make choices. You got to make choices, and one of the choices will take me to number 2, and this also falls on a 10 on the cryometer for me. And like, I don't know, it's a 2-hour movie. I could probably cry for an hour, and that's Rudy, another true story. Interestingly, when I was in college, this movie was a couple years old, and I had a sports psychology class, and one of the assignments that we had was to try to interview someone who's as famous as you can possibly find. And I had a student in my class actually interview Daniel Rudiger, who is Rudy, and I'm trying to think of the kid who played Rudy in the movie.
Sean Astin.
Sean Astin, another one, like similar to Kurt Russell. Sean Astin did his homework, because as I'm listening to the real Daniel Rudiger, I'm like, holy shit, man, that sounds like the guy in the movie. Sean Astin did his friggin' homework. There are 2 scenes specifically in this movie. There are many where I get teary-eyed, but 2 specifically that I have to speak of. Number 1, when he finally gets accepted to Notre Dame.
And he's crying on the bench, and he can't.
and you could hear him sobbing, and then he just friggin' takes off and starts running, and you see great cinematic work because the Golden Dome is right in the background of the lake.
Yes,
and he's just running towards the
falling down.
Oh, dude, I just lose it because I'm like, he did it, like the way he just sobs and like, God, it just sounded freaking real. And well, I guess there's two other scenes. Then of course the scene where he was promised, if you're listening, you haven't seen this or you don't have a pulse, but he was promised to be able to suit up for a game, and the new coach comes in and they never get him on the roster. And
Dan Devine,
friggin' Dan Devine. Every one of the guys on the team, starting with the captain, walk in and they put their shirt on the coach's desk and say, I want Rudy to start at my place. Listen to me, dude. I'm such a friggin' twat. I can't even get through this segment without actually crying about it. It's so funny. Then player after player just walks in and said, Coach, I want Rudy to start for me. And Devine just kind of sits back and goes, look at this shit.
Yeah.
Like when the first captain, he says to him,
Roland Steele, you're a captain.
You're a leader of this team and a captain. Act like it. And he says, I think I am, Coach.
I believe I am. Yep.
Oh, Jesus H. Christ. And then, of course, when he finally gets in the game, and this is a friggin' true story, he goes and gets a goddamn sack, and they carry him off the field. And he's like the only player in Notre Dame history to get carried off the field. And you see the guy who was on the grounds crew kind of pumping his fist for him.
Oh, that's legendary.
Holy shit, man. It's just, I lose it. So if that movie's on, there's no getting off of it. I got to watch it all the way through.
So to add my 2 cents on this, I secretly, as a Michigan diehard fan, I hate Notre Dame.
I don't like Notre Dame either, which is so funny.
Yeah, but I love this movie, obviously, because everything you mentioned. But I refuse to put it in my top 10. But I love it, and
on
I
principle.
Try too. But the movie, but the part that gets me, and you hit on great parts, when Roland Steele grabs him before they run out of the tunnel, goes, "You ready, champ? I've been ready for this my whole life." And he runs out in the tunnel, and his family, his one Favreau, throws his coffee up. There he is, 45. Dude, like you're a big football. We're on Michigan would run out that tunnel with my wing helmet, and I want all you guys there. Like you just picture yourself in that position. And you're like, what number is he? Where is he? Like, leading the guys out the tunnel.
He's so little.
The banner. Yeah. And he's so like you want to talk about floodgates, man.
Oh, dude, forget it. So I'll give you a fun fact. Dude, I don't know if you know this, and for those of you who are listening, I don't know if you know this. If you watch the last game, if you watch the game, I don't know what we call it, the final scene where it's the game against Georgia Tech.
Yep.
The real Daniel Rudiger is sitting right behind Rudy's parents in the stands.
I did not know that.
It's either a dark navy blue or it's a black overcoat that he's wearing, and it's the real Daniel Rudiger. That's his one spot in the movie. So if you get a chance to see it and you're watching at the end, it's mainly at the end after he gets in and they're showing the dad and all this stuff. It's either dark navy blue or black overcoat. I think he's got like a little hat on, a little Irish kind of hat on, and that's pretty cool. It's the real Daniel Rudiger. It doesn't look anything like Sean Astin, but it's the real Daniel Rudiger.
So I also have an inside Rudy fact as well. So Tony Zappola,
yes, an Elmwood Park grad.
Tony Zappola is an Elmwood Park grad. I played football with his son Joey for a long time. So, and one of the scenes where he's checking the roster, by the locker room, he's going down the list.
Yeah.
Zappola is the last name on the list. So Tony, who I know, and my brother, he coached my brother, played with his son Joey. So that's a pretty cool Elmwood Park.
How about that, right? How about that?
Yeah. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
What's your number 2?
So number 2 for me is an absolute. If you're a baseball fan, and you grew up playing in the summertime, 8 a.m. with a bunch of buddies, Sandlot is my number 2. So I was 8 years old when this movie came out, and I know probably anyone that was born after 2000 or maybe even younger than that, you pass baseball fields now in the summer. No one's there. No one's playing baseball anymore.
I know.
When I was a kid growing up, we had to turn away kids. We had to like pick sides and like that was Sandlot. Sandlot was us growing up.
Yeah.
You know, you want to talk about like the star player in town. Everyone knows a star player in town. Everyone knows that kid moving in that's not comfortable, that wasn't very good. You bring him in. You know, James Earl Jones plays a great role in that as well. Like the ex-baseball player that got blind and like he's running like his dog got slew. Like, the movie just to me, every 4th of July, I make it a point to try to watch that movie around that weekend at some point. The fireworks scene. They're playing the one night game a year, the fireworks keeps the lights on for us, and then he knocks the cover off the ball. Like that's baseball to me. That to me is 8 years old. That's like I'm almost Scotty Smalls, but
so before I comment on this movie, I want to tell you that my number one movie is Sandlot. And for me on a cry meter, it's only a 4, which is interesting. Like I love crying. I love crying at movies. I love being moved to emotion, dude. I think if you can move me to cry, then you did a great job. And what other reason do you watch movies than to be moved? So what's so fascinating about this being my number one movie is that it's not so much a cry fest until the very end when, like, you know, Benny steals home as a Dodger.
He lifts the dog and he lifts the dog off the thing.
All that, So it's not so much that, but everything else that you said is exactly why. It's like we talk about sports all the time and we are coming at it mainly from a professional and at the very lowest collegiate level. And it's so commercialized, and even the draft now is a 4-night mega event in some city somewhere where it used to be kind of done on a chalkboard in New York City somewhere. Sandlot is what every one of us and every kid you'll see get drafted tomorrow night, every kid you watch play Major League Baseball, every player you watch on an NBA basketball court at some point in their life, and certainly for every one of us that's a sports fan who ever played sports, you started out in a Sandlot. Whether it was some dumpy shithole basketball court or, you know, some, you know, dirt track for football or, you know, a Sandlot for baseball, we all started playing on just
somewhat like that.
Probably in someone's backyard or some back hole in a wall that, you know, is where it all meant something to us, where we learned our craft and where we learned to love that sport. And I think that's why it's interesting. Every movie we've mentioned to this point, the acting has been pretty much exceptional. And this is the one where the acting almost doesn't even matter. They're just a bunch of kids and they're not particularly great actors or anything like that. It's the story. It's what it means and how it touches us. Because we all get it. Whatever level we ever reached and however far we went in sports, we all started there. We all started in the Sandlot, you know? So it's just there's something about that damn movie that's so goddamn special. You
just don't care about the acting at all, because you think of a kid.
It's the nostalgia.
So to bring something closer to home, and I know, like, obviously we're gonna keep, because it's your number one. So you coach in Elmwood Park in town, and the St. Leo's Carnival to us was a big thing growing up. So, but St. Leo's Carnival to us was Labor Day weekend or the weekend after, but it was always the first weekend of high school football and Bomber Pee Wee football. So it was kind of like that, like to a extent, like with those baseball guys, like they connected. They're doing the chew on the ride, and they're throwing up. So the St. Leo's Carnival to us growing up in town was that. We're at that Friday practice, and it's like, all right, we can't wait to 6 to 8. All right, it's like 7. You hear the church at 7 o'clock. All right, we have an hour left. Like, and then you're going to the carnival in your football pads, and that was a big. And everyone that's listened to this story, Mikey and Eddie and Jeremy and guys that grew up playing football with me, like that was a big thing.
Yeah,
Tommy Bal, my brother, like that was a big thing in town. Like, oh, you're going to St. Louis Carnival, like with your football, you got the Bomber, your shoulder pads are off. We got the Bomber shirt, your football pads on the bottom.
Yep.
Like everyone who played football wanted to show that off.
Of course,
that was a thing.
Of course.
So Sandlot and baseball that way, doing that as a team was our bomber thing that weekend.
Yeah.
Going to the St. Louis Carnival.
That's why I say it doesn't matter the sport. It's just representative of we all started there. We all started.
Yes.
LeBron James started in a Sandlot. I mean, he's from Akron, Ohio. He started playing basketball probably on like some friggin' plywood backboard. Like that's a basketball Sandlot, you know, like
with no net, net, and shoveling the court off before.
Absolutely. Everyone, no matter your level of how far you made it, even if the last you ever played was Little League, like or if you're Michael Jordan, like it doesn't matter. You know, I mentioned Hoosiers before, and I can picture Jimmy Chitwood shooting baskets on it's a dirt basketball court, you know? So every single one of us who have ever played sports, our first experience in that sport was in some kind of a Sandlot. It was some kind of like very basic beginning where we kind of makeshifted a court, a field, whatever it was. And I think that's why it just touches home because, you know, it's hard to put yourself in the shoes of an Olympic hockey player. It's hard to put yourself in the shoes of a professional baseball player like the Natural or Field of Dreams. It's hard to put yourself in a Notre Dame uniform to play football. There's not a single person out there who doesn't know what it's like to play on a Sandlot in some way, shape, or form. We all get it, and I think that's why it just touches home so much. So, great movie, great movie, and I can never move off. If I'm going down the list and there's Sandlot, it's just, it would almost be sacrilegious to go watch anything else at that point. And like you said, it's one of those movies in the summer where like there's nothing on. I'll get it. You know, I'll get a streaming version of it and we'll just put it on. It's an awesome movie to just have on in the background if you're cooking dinner or making burgers and dogs or whatever. So, all right, what's your number one?
So my number one, I've said this, I think a couple times during the show, and a movie that we watched pregame playing football for you is The Program.
Oh, fascinating that you put it at number one. That's great.
So that's my movie. So 1993.
I love that
James
movie.
Caan, Omar Epps, Halle Berry. My brother introduced me to this movie probably a little bit before my time that I should have, to be honest with you. 8 years old, my first year of Pee Wee football, and it just stuck with me, man.
Yeah.
This movie, so every fall, like that last week of August, you get like the temperature drops a little bit, you get that smell in the air, and you get that football feel. And this movie is all I think about, man. Like it's just football. I never played college football ever, but if I played college football at like some kind of level, I would think it was something like this: a steroid guy, a Heisman Trophy candidate with issues, a running back that's a hot shot coming out of a bad area, that's battling a running back, that's a goody two shoes kind of guy that's just trying to graduate and go on to the next level at a different profession, and a maniac defensive end that's roared out of his mind, and a middle linebacker that can't spell, but he's so good. Like, this movie is college football in a nutshell.
Everything you think about college football is The Program.
Yeah, is this movie.
Got it all into one movie.
And I know that's not an accident, obviously, but this movie to me, and Christy Swanson, looks great in this movie too.
Yep.
Like this movie, and there's just everything about this. Like, I'm getting, like, I want to just put my helmet on and go nuts right now. Like, I just like this movie. I love this movie.
If you're looking for great acting, this is not the movie. But if you're looking to get excited, and I mean like you're looking to watch something before you go work out, or you're looking to watch something before you, like, I don't know, go play a men's league softball game. Like, you're looking to watch something to get jacked up. Like, I'm going to a bachelor party tonight. We need to watch something that's going to get me like souped up. Go watch a Program. Okay. So I watched The Program probably a little before you did. And the movie The Program was made around the time that Florida State football was really like in its prime. And if you look at the uniforms of the team in the Program, they're basically
Eastern State University.
Yeah, it's basically Florida State University. And for everything you just said sums it up, so I don't need to repeat it. But it's just one of those movies that just like it encapsulates everything good, bad, and ugly that there is about college football. And I do mean good, bad, and ugly. Like there's some ugly shit that you don't want to know, and I'm telling you, you don't want to know. You don't want to know because it's going to take away from the pleasure that you have of watching college football. Because there's ugly. There's ugly. There's a very ugly business side that goes on within college football. And then there's the bad, which is not as ugly as the ugly, but it's the bad. Like there's steroids and there's payoffs and there's backhanded
and there's
deals.
Beating up women and
there's bad. And then there's good. There's comeback stories, there's redemption, there's exceptional play, there's exceptional coaching, there's the purity of the sport, there's the X's and O's, there's the players, there's guys rising to the occasion. There's all of it. And all of that stuff is in this movie. And it was one of my honorable mentions. I think those other movies just move me so much. So the program was one of those that was originally in my top 5. And then when I looked at these others, I'm like, I can't do it.
Listen, it's
a hard one, man.
Too. I get the emotion, but like there's sometimes where like I just want to be fired the fuck
Oh my god!
up.
So this is that movie.
This is it. Like
this is that movie. Like none of the movies we talked about will just get you jacked and motivated and excited. I'm telling you, you need to watch this movie and then go work out, and you will absolutely max out. You will get a new personal record. Like there's just no doubt. There's just something about it, right down to the last minute of the movie. So
like when Joe Kane Friday night before the Mission games at the railroad tracks, and he's trying to get an edge, and his girlfriend's there, he's pounding beers. Like, dude, does it get more serious than that? Like, let's go.
And that's very real. It's very real.
Yeah.
Like I did play college football. I played at the Division II level, but I played college football, and I'm telling you, trust me when I tell you, the intensity level, the talent level is different, but the intensity level is no different.
Dude, no,
because guys are fighting for their lives. They're fighting for starting positions. They're fighting for wins.
Yeah.
And the shit that guys will do,
And let's be honest.
Sometimes
you're playing a physical sport. You have to get mad. You have to get jacked up for it.
The shit I've seen, man. The shit I've seen is it's something else.
Absolutely.
It's something else.
No doubt.
It makes you question whether you would want your son to be in a college football player. Trust me when I tell you. So I love the pick. It's one of my honorable mentions. So I'll give you my honorable mentions, and I'll just list them off, and then I can mention a couple. So Field of Dreams, as you mentioned, was one of mine. Caddyshack was one of mine. The Program was one of mine. Dude, how do we not have like Rocky? Rocky would be a sports movie. It's a boxing movie. Like, come on, at least Rocky 1 and 2. But to me, all the way through, other than Rocky 5, I think, which was an utter disaster.
So let me interrupt. So I'm gonna put myself out there real quick.
Too young?
And my buddies bust my balls, and they're gonna love this. Not proud of it. Never seen it.
What? Oh my god, dude! I gotta find a new partner on the show. Oh my god, dude.
Hey man, what's Aaron Rodgers doing?
Oh, by the way, the first Rocky is loosely based off a true story.
So I have it on the DVR. I'm ready to fire it up.
Come on, don't stop.
Yeah.
Listen, we will not do another show until you watch Rocky and we get to talk about it. So you better get your ass in gear.
That's a lie, but I appreciate where you're going with it.
So Rocky, to me, the Rocky movie's got to be on the list. This is one, I don't know if you've even seen it. Maybe not a lot of people seen it, but I absolutely love this movie, and I have a hard time coming off of this if it's on. Will Smith kills this role in The Legend of Bagger Vance. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a golf movie.
Oh, my God. I love that movie.
It's friggin'
Matt Damon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Charlize Theron. Yeah. Again, there's some actually... Will Smith...
Oh, I love that movie.
I don't know if this is how it was meant, but Will Smith's character, to me, is God. And... Matt
Damon's like supposed to be... Oh, dude.
Matt Damon is all of us. Matt Damon is all of us, you know?
The music comeback story too, like, oh, I know.
Just the way Will Smith just kills that role. I mean, I love that movie, and that was one that I originally had in my top 5, and I unfortunately had to push it out.
And that's what, like mid to late 90s, but before he got like really going. Will Smith?
I don't know.
Acting wise?
I don't know about I should have done my research like you did and what years were, but he
God,
he kills it with
the
little
kid,
with the little kid and everything. There's something about that movie.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I just thought about when we mentioned it, when I said to you about Hoosiers, it's not necessarily a sports movie, it's a redemption movie. So then a movie that came to me in my mind, because I say it all the time, this is not a wrestling movie. Like, people think it's a wrestling movie. It's not a wrestling movie. It's Vision Quest. I don't know if you've ever seen Vision Quest. The music,
Modine, of course.
Yes, the music in it is top shelf. First of all, it rivals the music from Footloose. God, I'm drawing a blank on her name too, and I know it very, very
I don't know.
well.
Yeah, I don't know her name. I can't even help you with that one.
But it's not a wrestling movie. It's a movie about chasing your dream. It's Vision Quest. It's going after that thing that you want so bad and doing whatever it takes to get it. It doesn't matter what it is. It has nothing to do with wrestling. I just love that friggin' movie. So those are my honorable mentions. And some of those were in my top 5. But then when I looked into more, I had to move them out. I just, you won't get arguments from me if they're in your top 5. I'm just saying I had to move them out of my top 5.
I got you. That makes sense. I got you. It does. So I have a couple. I have So my first one right out of the top 5 is the Major League 1 and 2. The Back to the Minors is a joke, forget it. But Major League 1 and 2,
fun movies.
Euchre, and you want to talk about cast too? Charlie Sheen, Omar Epps, Wesley Snipes, Berenson,
obviously he's thinking. I don't know what the hell he's thinking.
Ball 4, ball 8, ball 12, and Vaughn seems to have lost the strike zone. Like those
great
movies,
stuff.
just like no tears, but just
laughter. No, it's pure humor. It's great stuff.
And just comeback story are great.
One line after another.
And me, you, and Steven Stavali have done this after 12 Budweisers at softball games.
Forget about it.
Tremendously. Number 7 for me is Remember the Titans.
Yes. See, this is what I'm saying. There's a couple movies like that are just like, how did they not make the list? But another true story. Yes. So my 7 and 8, and you mentioned. So I'll give you 8 right now. 8's Miracle. You mentioned. Love it.
So 7. I left them out, and not for any particular reason, because I have, a movie in there that's a true story in 61. But I left Miracle and Remember that they're truer stories. They're true stories that have just been told through movies, I guess you could say, sure. and they were before my time, and I don't know. Remember, Titans was probably before your time too, or sure. Like very, very early definitely. In your lifetime. But but Remember the Titans to me is something special now in this day and age. Now,
well, it could be. It's more valuable now of a movie than it was in its own time.
I saw something on Twitter last week where somebody put, "The world should rewatch this movie."
Yeah.
And it was when the white defensive end and Campbell, the black defensive end, they were trying to figure it out. They're both studs from different high schools coming together, and they both had their sides of the team, and they figured it out.
Yep.
And I think that's what this world needs at some point.
For sure.
It the fuck out, guys. Let's go. Let's move on.
Yep.
So those movies were great. So number 9 for me, and I know you're gonna love this movie too, and you probably have it in your top 15, is Bull Durham.
It's not one of my favorites.
Wow.
Yeah, it just never grew on me, man. For some reason, it never grew on me. I don't hate it. It's definitely not something like I go to, or if it's on, I'll stay on it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll do that. I like Bull Durham. Kevin Costner, by the way, in 3 baseball movies is just.
You think he likes baseball?
Does it well. Just does it well. And number 10 for me is a movie that another one like The Program. Is one my brother got me onto as a little kid, and every time like that last week August comes on, I just think like, man, if I lived in Texas, this movie, Necessary Roughness.
Good one.
It's not great acting, but it's football.
Okay, so I will actually take I think it's called The Replacements over Necessary Roughness.
Yeah.
I like Necessary Roughness.
Wow.
But I'll take The Replacements over it. I'm kind of a Keanu Reeves fan anyway, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Because the acting in that is not fantastic. But it does have Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves.
Neither movie.
No, they're not Academy Award winners.
No, but I think that's just a football. I think that's just a football flavor thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
I got you.
Hey, what was that movie when Appalachian State beat Michigan? Oh, they didn't make a movie of that one yet.
That was real life, bro.
I'm sorry. Am I ending this on a sour note?
Yeah, why would you do that to me right
wouldn't
now?
Wouldn't that be a good movie, though? I mean...
Wow. No, it's not. Wow.
I'm in a mood, huh?
Man, you were a salty bastard.
Nightcast, the nighttime podcast I don't know, maybe it's better. Hey, let us know if you like us doing the podcast at night or during the day better. I don't know.
Well, I like that night until that statement, you fucking prick.
Wow,
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
What a dick.
We're a family.
What a Jets, like a typical Jets fan. Do I even have to ask what's on your radar?
No, listen, I hope you draft Ryan Leaf. Fuck you, goodbye, good night.
I hope Zach Wilson breaks his leg up to on his way up to the podium. Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, it's draft weekend. If you're only watching the first round, then you're missing out because you're half of your starting team, half of the starters on your, or I should say half of the players on your team, on your favorite team, were either 4th through 7th rounders or weren't even drafted. So pay attention to the entire draft. It's worth it. It's worth it. Look into these guys. Listen, the greatest thing about living in this generation is that whoever your team drafts, you can then go to YouTube and watch a highlight reel. Watch a 5 or 10 or 15-minute highlight reel of every single player that got drafted on your team. So do it so that you have an idea of what's coming. So obviously, Scott, I think both of us are jacked and looking forward to what happens in this draft. And I'm sure we'll be talking about it next week. We'll be talking about what these teams took, what our surprises were, and all that kind of stuff.
I can't wait. Favorite day, one of my favorite days of the year, tomorrow and Friday. Rounds 1 to 3 are phenomenal. I'll watch every pick.
Everything.
Yankees hopefully continue to play better, and I hope you stop being a prick. Is what I just want.
Well, I wouldn't count on that, especially if we keep doing this at night. And but we'll see. I am trying to be nicer. I'm going to go to church this weekend, so. I am Pete Colasano. Go ahead. No, please.
Episode what? Episode
14.
What? Episode 14?
Richard Todd.
In the books, my friend.
Yeah, Richard Todd. He was number 14 for the
Jets. Can we go someone better than that? Like,
I don't know. Can we? Do you have someone?
Yeah, like Vinny Testaverde, maybe?
Vinny's better than Richard Todd? Yeah.
I think so. He played till he was 40-something years old.
That doesn't make him better. Just makes him longer in the tooth.
It makes him better.
I can't believe I'm sitting here defending Richard Todd.
Yeah, go to bed.
It's got to be somebody else, right? 14?
Brian Greasy?
He might be better than Richard Todd. What am I doing? Defending Richard Todd. I'm Pete Colasano for Scott Bracey. You've been listening to Bump and Run, and we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
Later, boys.